In general, here you can really find incredible deals, but I would say the council doesn't like investors.
Okay.
Councils here, they'll make your life hard.
Look at this, middle of nowhere, literally nowhere.
And ladies, they want to see concrete things.
Yes.
If money is not coming in for them, you're wasting your time. Are you first?
Never been in Scotland.
Well, very warm welcome.
Yeah, they said I'm lucky. There's a sun.
Oh, you choose the excellent day.
They said, whoa, it's always raining, and
Yeah.
we had a cab driver yesterday that was telling us.
Okay.
He said it rains, sunny, snow, Scotland.
In one day.
Same day.
In one day.
Why did you decide to invest in Scotland mainly?
Well, it's more because it's when I finished my studies, I was in Scotland. So I moved from France to Scotland to finish the studies.
Yeah.
I was supposed to stay 2 years, but I stayed 5.
5 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
and back then, and that's where in Scotland I met my wife. But because of work, we had to move to France.
Yeah.
So we've been going between London, Paris, and then 6 years ago, we decided to come back
Right. Okay.
to be closer to family, to our family and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, I managed to get myself transferred from France to Scotland for the work I was doing. But six months later, they let me go.
Wow.
And then I came to a realization, and I said to myself, how can I be at the mercy of an employer?
That
why?
is a scary situation to be in.
So it was a wake-up call at that point, 6 years ago. So I started to look at what can I do, to kind of protect myself, protect my family, the future and everything. And I bumped into a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Poor Dad. Oh yeah, that's the book. Yeah.
That's the book that started everything. So, long story short, started to meet up, going to meetups, property meetings and all that. And started to meet the people that are playing the game.
Wow.
And that's where I met my business partner, Fayaz.
Oh, nice.
So I came because they were saying to me during those seminars, if you have a good project, money will come.
Yeah.
I said, okay, let me find a project.
Yeah, see if the money will come, isn't it?
So my first project was a building, a 10-flat building in air.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how fast I wanted to go. I was hungry.
10.
10 flats for 300 grand. 10 flats, all rented, everything running. So I went to those meetups and I started talking about it. And Fayaz said, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Next day we're sitting at a coffee place, and he said, let's make it happen.
Wow.
Because he's got a good network, he started putting money together. And there was 2 landlords selling.
Yeah.
And we started, buying, instead of the 10, we just bought 3.
Yeah, okay.
And that was the start.
Yeah, so how's property like in Scotland? Because obviously people in England or say Wales, because they see Scotland as a standalone country trying to be a bit different.
Yeah.
How is the market like in terms of property in general?
In general, here you can really find incredible deals, but I would say the council doesn't like investors.
Okay.
Councils here, they'll make your life hard. There are lots of things you need to take care of when you start investing. But again, on the residential side, yes, you will have to comply with a lot of compliance regulations. But on the commercial side, it's like a boulevard.
Okay. Is it?
If you get yourself into commercials, right place, right location, like I explained earlier, you could find gems if you are creative as well.
Okay, you have to think outside of the box, isn't it?
Completely.
We've got a few investors that have bought properties here in Scotland. Couple in Glasgow, I think even Edinburgh. They've bought few properties here.
Okay.
And some are also looking to do flats as well, because in Scotland the flats are not leasehold properties, aren't they?
Yeah, they all freehold. Yes. So and you have to be clear on your strategy. Like if you're going into service accommodation, now you need a license.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to one of the guys in the group, and he just realized he's living down in Kent.
Yeah.
He just realized that he needed a license.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I said, well, you need to know what you're doing first. What's your strategy? You need to know your strategy first. Then you can look at the right property. Because if you're looking for a flat, if you buy a flat, and that flat has a shared entrance, service accommodation is dead.
It's not gonna work.
It's dead in the water because
so it has to be same entrance. So
your own entrance, you have
to have your own private entrance.
Yes, even if the flat is above, but it has its own staircase going direct to the flat, then they will consider it. They will accept it.
Right. Okay, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
So suppose then it's a block of building, right, with different flats.
Yeah.
We've got the main entrance.
Yeah.
Obviously, go through the entrance, go upstairs, and then go to the flat.
Yeah.
Will that be considered?
Yeah, no. They've shut down all the people, most of the people running service accommodation that were in those kind of configuration, if you like.
Okay. So, what are the sort of requirements if someone is investing in Scotland looking to do serviced accommodation, what people call Airbnb? Right? What are the key things you need to be looking at? But before I ask that question, actually, is it licensed on the property or on the person itself, or you have to have a license first to operate, and then you have a license for the property itself? How does that work?
It's both actually.
Yeah.
So when they license a place, they license on the person, on or the entity behind it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it could be your business, and it's solely on that individual or business.
Yeah.
You cannot transfer the license.
Okay.
Say you sell the property, they will have to reassess your business, you as a person.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And also they assess the property if it's suitable.
Okay.
So they will look at all those things before they make a decision. But the key element is the fire safety. It's the safety.
Yeah, the safetiness of the property.
That's it. So if you do everything, say to a standard of, say, HMO standard, then you're in a very good position, because that's what we did.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I knew the place in Aberdeen, remember?
Yeah.
It was an HMO.
Yes.
And I remember the guy had fire doors, had everything, fire alarm, all interlinked. So if you start with that already,
you are kind of in a better position.
yeah, and the guys will say, okay, there is nothing to do. And the insurance, they started with an insurance requirement of £2 million.
Okay, yeah.
Insurance.
That's key.
But some councils, just to make it life harder, they will say we want £5 million. Insurance.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I looked at all that, I said, you know what? I'll go with the £5 million.
Yes, of course. Okay.
So they have nothing to say.
to say against you.
Yeah.
So now you talked about the fire doors, and obviously if it's a flat, it needs to be one main entrance.
Yes.
Which is really saying you cannot do flats, because most flats have a communal entrance.
Yeah, exactly.
So what sort of other things then do they look at? Do they look at the location, whether it's predominantly residential or something else? So what other things also they tend to look for?
They will look at the public opinion as well.
Yeah.
Because one of your requirements is to put a notice, a 21-day notice that says, I'm such and such, and I intend to do service short-term let. And then they will wait 21 days for people to come forward to either object or make a comment.
Yeah.
So if you are in a place that it's gonna be you're gonna have people complaining, then you need to assess that.
Yes, of course.
Before you even start.
So is that done by the council itself, or is it done by you, the investor?
It's you, the investor, who put the notice. You take a photo, and then
post it to them, or you leave it on a pole, or
you leave it somewhere prominent.
Okay, yeah.
So it could be on the main door. So there'll be no argument.
Somewhere prominent for each household, or just for that area?
For that area.
For that area. Okay.
So it could be the main door. It could be the main entrance door, so everybody can see it. Somewhere where people can see it, and they ask you a proof of it.
Right,
where
okay.
you've put it.
Right, okay. So there's something substantial
Yeah,
to back you up. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they will ask you all your certificates, electric compliance.
Mm-hmm.
They'll ask the proof of the notice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They will, they will make inquiries as well.
Yeah.
As a landlord,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to see if you're not in any of the registers
Mm-hmm.
and such and such. And there is a fee. There is a fee.
Yeah. Okay.
There is
Before
a
I
fee.
get to the fee, you see do they do criminal checks as well?
I think they do background checks.
Background checks. Okay.
Yeah, I think they refer to the police or something.
Yeah. Because in England, as a HMO landlords, you go through DBS check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even if it's as long as you're doing different council, each council will require you to do DBS check. Because I'm doing property in Cornwall right now. They've asked me to do a DBS check. I'm thinking I've got one already
Okay.
with another council. They said no, each council is different.
Oh.
So, would you say then basically what they're looking at is the safety,
Yeah.
the neighborhood,
Yes.
having private entrance,
Yes.
and having a competent person running it?
Yes, that's correct.
Basically.
That's it. Those are the key elements.
Key elements. Okay, so moving on then, by the look of it then, are they trying to push the service accommodation to be in residential houses rather than flats or something like that? Because by the look of it, it's either terrace house, semi-detached house, a house, or a masonry that would only have one entrance unless they convert a property into something. So what is your take on to that?
My opinion on that, it's they prefer houses
Yeah.
to be used as a vacation home, if you like.
Yeah. Okay.
But there is a caveat to that.
Okay.
If you intend to use that property on a full-time basis, then they will push you to do a change of use
Yeah. Okay.
from a planning perspective,
Okay.
because there will be more bins to be picked up. They will. It's like they're trying to say you'll use more water because our water is in the council tax. Eh?
Yeah.
They say you use more water, you are using more of our resources, and so on. So it's fair that you change the use to become a commercial, if you like, commercial place.
Property.
Yeah, but that has implications on the
of
mortgage,
course.
on many things.
Yeah, but that's not entirely true though, because when you have service accommodation, you use less resources, isn't it? People are not there all the time.
Yeah, so you would think,
right?
yeah.
And electric and light, or say gas, is turned on when someone is there. So really and truly, they just want to get money out of people, to be honest with you.
they want. But also there was a moment after COVID where everybody was buying property to turn them into
Service
accommodation, and I think they got scared and they rushed into getting a license through, you know,
Right.
to curb the rental going up, the scarcity of places. This is the game, really, for them. It's to slow down the pace of service accommodation.
Yeah, and also to get rid of the people that are not doing it right.
Yes,
to be honest with you, because now this then has given a gap, a very massive opportunity to the people that really want to do it properly and take it seriously.
Exactly.
So what would you say about the occupancy rate? I know you've got properties different places in Scotland, and looking at where we're going now, beautiful by the way, you know, it looks nice. The road is straight, you know, you don't have to go through lots of turns. So and looking at Edinburgh as well, where we're coming from, what is the demand like?
I think I see it's strong, because at one point, just to give you a quick example, our rate was between 250, around 250 mark, and at one point I was using like a channel manager, and I don't know, there was a glitch, and my rate dropped to 100 a night. My phone started to beep every second. People asking, "Oh, is this place near this, near that?" And I had, in the space of half an hour, I had like 10 inquiries. And I thought, man, are people really desperate to find a place? And that's when I realized the that just on Airbnb, people are looking right, left, and center. Maybe because we are in the middle of the high season, of course. But I saw the demand was whoa, and I was surprised. Honestly, I was shocked.
Yeah, but that's how you make money.
But then at the same time, our first week, we were 85% booked.
85%.
Yes, in the space for between June and almost end of August.
Yeah.
85% booked, man.
Wow. So now we're going to looking like nowhere, basically, right?
Yes.
Because when we're driving here last night, we're thinking, are we going to the right place?
It's the country.
Because most people do service accommodation where the city center, where there's so many activities going, and they believe that's where the demand is.
Yeah.
But obviously, you looks like you're observing the mass and you're doing something completely different.
Yeah.
So you're taking us to a remote area where you're kind of doing good. Could you tell us why do you decide to kind of observe the mass and do something completely different?
It's really at the start, because every time I come to this place, I'm thinking, wow, what a peaceful place, what a nice place. It's just the scenery, it's the experience. And we all agreed almost instantly that this place should be a vacation place. Just outside the city, not too far, you can drive, and you have shops at 10-minute drive. And we thought, imagine someone coming from abroad, they don't want to stay in the city, or contractors. We have lots of parking space, free parking space, off-road parking, and you have the scenery.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yes, and I'm thinking this is
beautiful.
It's another type of, I guess, guest we want to attract.
Yeah, different type of client.
Yeah, and all the guests that came here were more, I guess, families.
Yeah, true.
An older generation as well that booked this place.
Yes, true. That's absolutely.
And we were quite happy because they have more disposable income.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's a good way to target, man. More disposable income. I like that.
This is it.
Good.
So that's as well. And when you do your research, that's what you need to think about.
Yeah.
Do you want people that pay £100 a night and compete with the other hotels in the city, or you want to go a little bit up market and have the experience and play on that note? So that's what we decided to do.
So I think also what you've done here, maybe subconsciously, obviously you know what you're doing, is that people that are booking properties like here, they don't book you for one night.
No,
it's rare.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because as I said, the experience, isn't it? Even the feeling of being here, you know, the air that you breathe. And look at that, all this beautiful stuff. And you're not gonna come here for one night. You're gonna come here for like days, basically.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
I'm liking the place already. Look at this. You know, it looks so flat. You got these little hills around it, and it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. So, and you got like proper old houses as well. Old houses.
Yeah, traditional
houses, and it's very, very nice. You know, because if you're doing a serviced accommodation, nobody will think a serviced accommodation would work here.
Yeah,
because it's the middle of nowhere, brother.
Pretty much.
Right? This is for the salesman behind us.
But mind you, the farmer is renting this cottage here.
Yeah.
And after a week, he got tenants paying $1,200.
Really?
Honest.
What?
$1,200 for a free bed. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. This is why I was a bit surprised, you know. So, because you know, I've got a sourcing company, right? When they see properties like this, they will like
shy away.
Be like, no, there's nothing here, brother. I cannot even see a house.
Right.
So how do we do this? From this,
you
know, look at this. You know, middle of nowhere, literally nowhere, no traffic, nothing like that. You can go for a walk. Look at that.
Yeah, it's the country feeling, and at the top of that road, you can see the whole of Edinburgh.
Really?
To be honest, yeah, you have to see it.
This is beautiful, man. I'm super impressed
It's
already.
experience.
So thanks very much for showing us around, Abdullah. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Before we talk about the property, Obviously, it's a massive place.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. You've got lots of land, lots of farms around you. The beauty of the nature. You can hear the birds chopping and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
But I'd like us to take us back for the people who do not know you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your background, where you're from, and what gets you to be in Scotland?
Yeah. Well. Again, thank you for coming around. My background is I've been for the past 20 years working in IT as an IT man, doing my 9 to 5, and I've been between the UK and France quite a lot. And a few years back, like 6 years back, my wife wanted to be closer to family. And long story short, I finished my studies in Scotland, hence the connection with Scotland.
Yeah.
But 6 years ago, I asked for a transfer. The company I was working for approved the transfer. But 6 months later, they said, thank you very much, goodbye.
Wow.
And I was left, with a family that's just moved in Scotland and trying to figure what to do next.
Fantastic. So before we get there, I wanted to draw a bit of an attention of how you were like when you're young.
Yeah.
And what's your background like, and how is your family life like before we get to where we are?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a traditional African family. So my parents were in Senegal, so I'm born in Senegal.
Okay.
At the age of 5, they left Senegal for France.
France, okay.
And yeah, I'm not gonna say I had like a very hard upbringing, but my dad was very harsh, if you like. He was very strict, and we couldn't mess up with life. For him, education, going to school, learning was the top priority no matter what. So I grew up in a nice environment in France, and yeah, working and having family values all along. So that's really how I grew up. And I went into a IT school, and one morning someone from Scotland actually showed up in the school promoting, studying in Scotland. And I said, you know what, I have nothing to lose. Let's go. Yeah. And that's probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Wow.
Coming out of my comfort zone. And ever since, that's how I've been driving my life. It's to try reach the next level, next goal.
I love that. So
go from there.
So you said IT. So IT is a massive subject, right?
Yeah.
So what is your specialty when it comes to IT? And why did you niche to that market?
I'll tell you, my first job was working at a support center for an internet provider. That's how I learned the trade. That's how I got started.
Wow.
And I think after 2 years, I got tired and I left the job and I said, I'm going back to school. I'm going to learn what this guy is sitting at the other side doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn programming. I'm going to learn everything. Back then, my relationship with my dad was a bit difficult.
Yeah.
But I decided to bite the bullet, go back to home.
Wow, okay.
I went back home and restarted my studies. So I went into a private school to learn.
When you said back home, you're talking about Senegal or back in France?
But it was in France. So all my upbringing was in France. So went back to school, learned IT and programming and everything. That's what led me to Scotland as well.
Wow.
But I specialized in telecommunication.
Wow, okay.
So coupling IT and telecom. So that's why I had the chance to travel in Africa as well, to go and see mobile operators and do some pre-sales as well. So all that, is really what I've been doing over the past 20 years.
Wow. Okay. So I know you've gone there. You've lived in Scotland now for like 6 years or so.
Yeah.
I know the corporate world is different to what you're doing now. Can you give us a reason why you decided to take your finances into your own hands and invest in property? So what was that epiphany moment? What was that one thing that gets you to do what we're just about to talk about now? Yeah,
the one thing I think when the penny, it's like when the company said, we don't need you anymore. And I was kind of left on my own. I felt the company will provide for me, just like you have that if you like concept of if you work for a company, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
But the minute they don't need you, you're out of the door and you're on your own. So I needed to think long term. I needed to think of a way to sustain almost also my retirement. Think of that. So that's what. And long story short, bumped into this book I said earlier, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that opened up a whole new world.
Wow.
And I realized this is it. This is where I need to be. I need to build, a legacy.
Yeah.
And think of something. If something happened, at least I can leave something to the family, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reasoning that led me to look into properties.
Well, I love that. So basically, you've had your rug pull underneath you. You had a job, a company as an IT specialist, obviously, with a good salary as well.
Yeah.
Only to be told one morning, this is it. Your job is gone.
That's it.
And then you realize at that point, basically, you're only making money when you work.
Yeah, that's
in
it.
essence. And you get thrown on under the bus.
Yeah.
I know it was a difficult situation back then, but what makes you choose then property as a vehicle to get you to the destination where you want to be?
I think for me it was the idea of freedom. Of course, looking after the family, being financially free, and spending more time with the family. So that's really what drove me into properties.
Yeah.
Of course, it's hard work, in hindsight. Yes, when you look at the promise of investing, yes, it looks fabulous on the paper, but you also have to put hard work to get into it. So in properties, the work is up front. Massive work up front, and then you can reap the rewards. But obviously it's not for everybody. But I decided to give it a shot and give it my best possible.
And look, we're gonna touch into that because I think you're doing amazing already.
Thank you.
You're doing amazing. I remember when you approached me to invest in property, and you said, "Really, look, Rahim, I really want to get this done, but look, I want to expedite. I really want to get there." But you had a bit of an obstacle, which was something very close or someone very close to you, which happens to be your wife.
Yes.
I remember being on a Zoom with them, trying to convince her because she was like, "Oh no, I don't want to live that uncomfortable life."
Yes.
And she liked her holidays, isn't she?
Exactly.
And then I said, "Look, we need to change life a little bit," and we were able to persuade her to get you to where you want to go now.
Yeah.
So obviously that has really helped. So for those people that have got partners or husbands or wife that are really not a bit skeptical about investing, especially in property.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit how you're able to convince her with our meeting, after our meeting probably, to get you to get that support, maybe emotional support,
Yes.
most importantly, and maybe a bit of finance as well. Because as you know, you are the breadwinner, you needed to provide. So things need to be adjusted. So how will you be able to overcome that sort of obstacle to get us to what we are talking about today?
That's an excellent point. It's really, I think, if I can give an advice here, you need to get your partner involved in what you're doing. Because when I started, it was more like she was seeing as a personal thing, as me wanting to start a new trade or start a new business. So she wasn't feeling connected with what I was doing. When I started explaining why I was doing it, what benefit it would bring to the family, it's like putting a business plan almost. You have to explain what are the expenditure, what sort of money is coming in, and ladies, let's say this, they want to see concrete things.
Yes.
If money is not coming in, for them, you're wasting your time.
Yes, absolutely. Okay? I feel that.
But property is another game. So if you get yourself as a first property, something that's going to take you 1 year, 2 years, you might lose the partner along the way. But if you can get yourself into a project that shows that money is coming in quite quickly, they get excited. They can see, well, you can give them some, and
there's result.
There is a result, exactly. Okay. You need to show result. It's like entering into a business. You need to show result to your board. Consider your partner as a board member, and you need to be accountable. You need to show result, and if you have that mindset, right from the beginning, then you'll get them on board for the next
Fantastic.
project and so on. That's what I would say.
I love that. Thank you. So basically, what you're saying here then is, even if they're not involved physically,
Yeah.
but you might want them to aware about you're doing and
Yes.
involved maybe emotionally, like in
Yeah.
your case, emotionally, morally,
Yeah.
and knowing that lifestyle may change a little bit as well. Because obviously the money you used to go on holiday, because I remember I said you used to go on 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
That had to cut off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You had to
yeah.
reduce it.
That's it, yeah.
So for you to be able to achieve what you set yourself to achieve, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I know you loved rent to rent as well. Could
Yeah.
you share a light on what you've learned on rent to rent?
Right.
And to be able then to move from rent to what we're doing right now.
Yeah. So rent to rent for me was an excellent way to kickstart. And that's actually how I started the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and I remember you got me into rent to rent, you advised me into getting my first deal. And I will always remember, and that's what I tell everybody, you told me, look, I know you're nervous, you're stressed and this and that. Go somewhere or prospect somewhere you don't want.
Yeah.
So hence the reason why I went to Aberdeen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember. I said, go and try somewhere else before you try your area.
But
yeah.
as soon as I started, rolling the script and explaining what I was doing, Aberdeen, there is a paradox in this country, in Scotland. Aberdeen is the third biggest city in Scotland, but it has the highest number of empty properties.
Really?
Yes. Because Aberdeen, let's not forget, is the
That's
capital.
a gap for you there.
Yeah, Aberdeen is the capital of oil. Okay, and when it was booming, all the Americans came to Aberdeen and they bought massive properties and built massive properties, but those are left empty. So you have lots of empty properties, lots of vacant places. You just drive in Aberdeen and you will see them. You will, and even on Gumtree you will see. And my first deal actually was someone trying to rent a place that was looked like back in the 80s in terms of decor inside. And the guy was wondering why he wasn't renting. So I approached him. And luckily that guy was Algerian and he was also speaking French. So we made a connection there.
Yeah.
And he had 1 house and 2 flats empty.
Wow.
He was happy to give me all free.
I remember.
And I was ready to take all free, but I thought, no, hold on. This is my first deal, and I was going for 2, and in the end, I settled with the house.
Yeah.
Okay, always keeping 2 strategy in mind, because his house had the HMO license, it was facing the university, and it was near all the shops and everything. So I said, look, let's get started with 1, see how it works. And I started with an HMO strategy, and but that was just before COVID. I remember now, the students that were there left in December, and I was scrambling. And I went back to you and I said, now I need the same strategy. I need to learn service accommodation. And I remember you put a Zoom call and and that's what. And then I learned about service accommodation, thanks to you. Yeah. So everything I learned, boom, I've applied here.
We implemented it here.
Implemented everything.
Fantastic.
So rent to rent was a way to get started with a low expenditure. And yeah, I wasn't scared back then because I knew if anything was going sideways, I could just jump out and do something else. So
yeah, but I think it also paved you, I think, because it gets you to kind of learn about property.
Yes.
Know what not to do wrong, and what to do right as well. Because exactly. I remember you just saying that really set the foundation for you.
Yes, exactly.
It sets foundation for lots of investors actually, because it's minimal risk. In essence, you're not putting a deposit down. Yeah. You're not buying a house. It's about renting that house to kind of get you to where you want to be. So which is what you've used. Now, obviously, you've used that then to start kind of knowing about property and also use that to also build your property portfolio as well. Yeah. So moving forward now, you've used that experience. Yeah. And that experience get you to where you want to be right now. Can you take us back a little bit of history about the property we're sitting in right now? How were we able to acquire it?
This place was rented for the past 20 years by the in-laws. And but it was in a very poor condition. No insulation, no central heating. Basically, it was freezing during the winter. And when they started complaining, and here is another tip, because I learned about purchase lease options, I thought, why not see if we can do that here?
Yeah.
So, and I said to the in-laws, I said, look, why don't you ask them if you can buy it? They said, well, we don't want to get into a mortgage. We're in our older age now. We want just to settle somewhere easy. I said, okay, but you have nothing to lose. Just ask them. And the guys sent an estate agent to do the valuation. Big mistake. Because here in Scotland, you cannot sell a property if you don't have a home report, what we call a home report, with a surveyor who comes around. But what we did, it's basically using all the knowledge, all the skills to conclude that deal. So essentially knowing what's the real market value before going forward. So basically we knew what the property was worth. We knew what the landlord wanted. We just filled the gap.
Wow.
So we knew how much we would make before even buying.
Beautiful.
That's how we played it, and we put an offer. The guy accepted the offer. I think he wanted also to get rid of the property because he was the guy who owned the estate around here also owned the farmland.
Wow.
He was getting into his old age and wanted to dispose of all his assets. And because the place was tenanted, it would have been complicated to sell with a tenant that had an agreement signed 20 years ago.
I know.
With all sort of issues in the house. So he wanted to sell it to the tenant. So that's how we managed to secure it.
So now the clever thing you do here then is what I wanted to explain to me. So you've bought that property, this property where we are sitting in now.
Yeah.
You had the option to rent it out to a normal tenant.
Yeah.
So but you decided to do something completely different, which is why we're here today.
Yeah.
So what was the driving force behind that?
Well, at first we wanted anyway a family home. We wanted to keep it as a family home, whatever. So at the same time, we thought, well, it's a nice place as well as a vacation home. So when you go through the planning and everything, there are two ways about it. You either rent it for service accommodation on a temporary basis, and then you don't fall into planning and change of use and all that, or you rent it full time.
Yeah.
We decided to go with the temporary and take advantage of the summer times. And when we come here or gather as a family, so they have a big family, then we can just drop in, right, and stay in the place or block the calendar. So it gives us the flexibility, I think, this model, as opposed to putting it on a market and rent it long term to someone. And we think, it would have worked both, because the cottage next door is renting. They're renting quickly, right? The guy has done nothing into it and is for a free bed in the middle of nowhere, like you said, is fetching 1,200.
Wow, that's crazy. So now we decided to do this as a service accommodation, which is brilliant. So I know you may have inspiration, or you know what your market is. Yeah. Just to draw you back a little bit, then can you share your journey before, after joining my mentorship program? What was the key challenges in your approach to investment that lead you to financial freedom, lead you to start investing in property? Well,
at the beginning, I started to look online for meetups, but everywhere you go, they were asking a huge amount of money to get your education, to understand. And for me, I didn't want to spend. I think I wanted to go. I wanted to go fast, but I didn't want to blow up money and make mistakes. So I'm the kind of person, I like to know things. I like to understand where I'm going, and then go full steam. Yeah. And that's what my approach was at the beginning. I want to understand how this game is played, what are the things you need to do, and speak to the pro. Yeah. So the first one I met were people from London. So I started spending money into my education, big money back then. But I'm glad I did it, because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here.
Absolutely.
Honest. And then I found one of your videos on Facebook.
Okay.
I thought, oh, this guy looks like someone from my tribe.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought, let's see what he has to say, because it's a bit different from the rest. And I was honestly pleasantly surprised that you had reasonable, kind of mentorship back then, programs and everything. And yeah, jump into your Zoom calls and started to learning, take notes, took notes.
You are a warrior, but you're writing like this.
Take notes, understand how this game is played, because you were giving the nuggets, you were giving behind the scene, all the things you taught us on Gumtree, even on Rightmove, knowing the postcode with the broadband, and everything. Yeah. And also the Primark, you were saying, don't buy if it's not close to a Primark, all the prominent place, or don't go into a place that is too far, this and that. And yeah, you were giving all the little tricks, tips that the other guys weren't giving as easily anyway. So that's what I loved, and I took in everything, So that's what led me really to be on board and be close to you as well.
Fantastic. So what are the 3 lessons I know you've learned a lot, from it, and you've implemented a lot. But what are the 3 lessons learned during the mentorship program that made the biggest difference in your investment journey?
Biggest difference, it's I would say, is to be clear what you want to do. What is your strategy? What is your end game? Because if you're not clear, you jump from here and there and there, and you at the end, you're just wasting your time. So it's really the clarity, what is your strategy? Yeah. Then everything revolves around that strategy, right? As opposed to jumping into Gumtree or any other place, just try being desperate to find a place, and you find out that it's a nightmare place, right? Because you have the wrong tenant. And that's what I did at the beginning. I wanted a place, but then you realize, hang on a minute, okay, this is like 20 grand cheaper than that, but the kind of tenant, the neighborhood, it's just, at the end, you'll
So I love that. So the other thing that basically, with this property, obviously, we've got this property now. You've got it in the middle of nowhere. So what was the reason behind getting an Airbnb house in a farm?
That's a good point. No, I think every time...
What was the driving
It's just because every time I was coming here, just family visit, right? I was always amazed by the view. Yeah. Simple as that. And we thought, you know what? I think we should open it up, and we felt that people would appreciate to come here and have this view, the lifestyle. Basically, it's the lifestyle. Yeah. If someone wants to experience Scottish countryside, then that's the market. This is the place. Yeah, that's the place, and that's the market we were after. Yeah. And we put it rustic place. Countryside, amazing views, outdoor living. That's our key marketing, if you like.
I love that. So even me, I'm very surprised it's here, because like most serviced accommodation or investors say you want to be in the city center, you want to be in a big city, you want to be close to this, but you're here very quiet and you got a different sort of clientele. Completely. And the beauty of doing this here is basically you don't get your one night stays. No. You don't get your couple of night stays. You have people that will stay here for a bit longer and longer and longer, which is kind of a benefit to you. Since you've got this property then, since we've set it up, it looks beautiful, by the way. So well done for doing what you've done. What are your occupancy rate like? Because I would love to know, because where the property is at, I would love to know.
Yeah, well, let's be very open here. When we first put it on the market, and I will always remember, I think this will stay in my head for the rest of my life. We put it on Airbnb on a Friday. After approval and everything, it went live over the weekend. My first booking landed on a Monday, 4 a.m.
4 in the morning.
4 in the
Just
morning.
when Terry told me that, I was laughing as well. Like, who would sit down on a computer looking for Airbnb as a 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, it's your clientele, isn't it?
It's the clientele.
Because I remember you said you've got directors coming here,
Yeah.
managers, board members.
Yeah.
It's not your normal sort of people that will
Yeah.
be looking properties like this. So that is beautiful. I love that. I love that. So what's the occupancy rate like?
So the first week, honestly, we booked up. I mean, we were at least 85% booked for the 3 months after, basically.
No way.
Honestly, from June to end of August, it was almost 85%. And I will show you my phone. You will.
No, I believe it, bro. I believe it, because even to get this interview today was a big problem.
Yeah,
you know,
because
it was
yes,
a big problem
somebody left this morning.
Yeah, we were here actually last night, so
Yeah.
we saw them. We saw them. So that is beautiful. You know why it's so beautiful and so amazing. Also, is that is the location. You know,
I think it plays.
Today we've learned something here as well, because you know, I've got my deal sourcer sitting there. When he saw fields, he goes, "Oh, there's nothing in this place." Now you know there's gem in this sort of place, because you got a different sort of market.
Different market
So which is
experience.
really good.
2 weeks ago, we had a group of people coming from Thailand.
Wow.
They were, and I didn't speak too much with them, but when they left cards, golf cards. So these guys were obviously going into the golf around the place. They went to St. Andrews.
Wow.
It's basically, it's people who have money. They booked it for 8 nights, I think, 8 or 10 nights.
Wow.
Close to, you know, I mean, the number was good. So
Yeah, of
anyway,
course. We love that. We love that.
and yeah, coming all the way from Thailand.
Wow.
And they were just touring the golf places. So that was fantastic.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what is your estimated nightly rate? You don't obviously have to give us the right figure.
Yeah.
So, what's the estimated nightly rate here?
So at the moment we're hovering around 250
Per night?
per night.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Off camera, yeah? Wallahi.
Wallahi billahi.
What?
250 a night. And the first week we were at 270, 279 a night, and it was.
What? Alhamdulillah. That is very, very good.
Is that incredible?
It's amazing, bro. In Cardiff, Central Cardiff, Birmingham,
Yeah.
right? Liverpool, right? Leeds, and Manchester. You don't charge £270 per night. And you're in the middle of nowhere charging £270 a night. You are laughing, brother. You need another one down the road. Literally need to build another one, yeah? If that's how much you're charging.
Yeah, if you want to partner and have another
Definitely,
cottage,
bro.
let's get another one.
Whoa. So basically, you're making all your money now, basically. So looking at where you are now, what's your estimated monthly income here? If you had to put the figures together.
Right now, with all the expense paid at this rate, let's not forget this is the high season
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course, yes, yeah.
You're running around between 4 and 5k.
A month?
Yes, easy. Yeah.
Man, I'm moving to Scotland. 4,500, between 4 to 4,500 pounds a month.
Yeah.
Net profit.
Yes, pretty much. Yes.
Subhanallah, that is beautiful.
Yeah,
Man. I love that.
Yeah, at
I love that.
85%.
Man, you need to do the other land. You
And
need
I'm
to do
only
that
on one platform at the moment.
Go to the platforms, brother. Go to the platforms. This is a killer.
Yeah,
This is a killer.
It's
You're
quite
talking
amazing.
about over £50,000 a year. Because
you could,
times
yeah.
4,
Yeah.
4 times 10 is 40, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 times 10 is 40,
Yeah.
plus another 8k.
Yeah.
You're talking about 48k.
Yeah.
Well
But
done, brother.
again, I want to put a caveat on that. It's the high season. So we have
But
to
what,
see.
what I'm trying to say is, basically, even if you rent your property for 3 months,
Yeah.
the whole year,
Yeah.
you're
fine.
okay.
Yeah,
And which is
exactly.
what Airbnbs most cases are, and
Exactly.
especially
And this
especially in this area,
Yeah.
you can get that.
Yeah,
right.
and that's what we've explained to the council when applying for the
Yeah.
license. We're doing it on a temporary basis during
Yeah.
the summertime. So we've been very open and honest. Now, if we look at expanding it to go full time, then you enter into another kind of license.
Yeah, but this is beautiful, brother. You know, because places like this, I think you're doing it. I think you're playing it very smart here, right? Because you know your peak time,
Yeah.
and you're taking advantage of it.
Yes.
So in essence, you don't really need to rent this property throughout the year, to
Exactly,
be honest, quite
exactly.
frankly.
And that's why, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Making 240, 70 pounds a night, you only need 3 months, you can lock it, you go wherever you want to
That's
go,
it.
you come back during the summer and do it.
You still-
So the reason why I like to emphasize on that is for the people that think service accommodation used to be rented throughout the year in order for you to make money.
Yeah.
In my last event, that's why I shared one of my properties, because people are getting a bit nervous, because when I talk about the fluctuation, I said that, yeah, there are fluctuation.
Yeah.
It's better to get properties where it's not touristic area, so you can rent at least average throughout the year, but you make your money in during specific period, and that depends on your location.
Yes.
Right? But to be honest, with this location also, I don't see it not renting even during winter time.
Okay.
I think it will still rent.
Well, actually-
obviously not be as high,
Yeah.
but it will still rent. But yeah, go for it.
December is already half booked.
There you go. You see, I just said it.
Yeah.
Right? I just said it basically.
Yeah.
Because it's a different place.
Yeah.
You know, it's different, it's unique. So good to know you are doing really, really well in this, and I'm really honored. It makes me feel so amazed.
Oh,
so
thank
in
you.
that, you know, it is really working basically. So looking now forward, right? How did the I've asked that question. Now that actually before I ask that question, you said you want to go now traveling. You've done what you could. You're doing
Yeah.
really, really well.
Yeah.
Don't give me where you're going. You now decided you're financially free. You want to go live in a hot place. You know, after Scotland made you all this money, bro. Right? So, yeah, tell us a bit background of why you decided to do that and where about in the continent are we going to?
Yeah, I always had this, in parallel to properties, I always wanted to share education, to share the power of education to our fellow people back in Africa. And honestly, it breaks my heart to see people leaving Africa, risking their lives, crossing the channels, when all they need is knowledge.
True.
Knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, and that's what I said to my cousin in Senegal. Every so often someone calls, say, help me, I want to study here and there. Short story, he applied to go for Canada. After 2 years, they said, no, we cannot take you. Despite showing 10 grand of guarantees, showing all the paperwork, they say, no, we don't believe you will be sustain your life and living here. I said, you wasted your time. What you should be doing is to get some money going and fund a trip, say, to China. Before you leave, you would have sold a container to people before you even left the country. And I said, this is what you need to focus on. And I said to him, the same. If you have a good project, the money will come.
Yeah.
Show the project, the money will come. And that's what he did. Today, he's been in the country in Senegal, getting a couple of cows, because there was, the religious ceremony recently.
Festival,
And that kick-started his brain to think out of the box as well. Instead of waiting for hands out, now he's trying to create his own opportunities.
Beautiful.
Okay? Because I said to him, I'm not going to fund your trip to China. What is your plan? If there is a shortfall, I'll help you, but don't count on me to pay the whole trip.
Of course.
So, and that pushed him, and this is what I want to do with these kids back home. It's to help them. So I want to get closer to Africa. That's my plan, and try to share some knowledge, some of the things I've learned, so they can build their own business. Run their own things.
Beautiful.
And that's it. That's all you need.
So are you traveling with the whole family, or just you going to test the waters for now?
Well, the family wants also to come around. So our plan is before the end of this year is to it's to make the
they will
move.
love it. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you. So now you're financially free, and now you'll be traveling as well around the world to impact people positively.
Yeah,
that is beautiful, bro. I
idea.
love that. So what does an average day look like for you? How has life changed personally and professionally since you've become a property investors and financially free?
Last 6 months, despite the challenges I told you and everything,
Explain
the
that.
work.
That's exactly what I wanted to explain to you, because people think this is easy, bro.
Wow, it's been a roller coaster last 6 months.
Should you go outside? Now, obviously, you're traveling, impacting people positively, which is really, really what I love to see
goal.
our investors do. And to be honest with you, For you to be able to do that, it is courage, you know. It is courage, enthusiasm, and wanting to give back. That really drives me. If there's anything that could help on that, actually, let me know.
Thank you.
Especially if you're doing charities, I'm more than happy to work with you on that.
Okay.
So what does an average day look like for you? You know, how has life changed personally and professionally since you've become financially free through property?
Well, if you like, things happened over the past 6-8 months when I lost my job.
Yeah.
Basically last summer.
Wow.
So they put us on a garden leave, and basically they were saying to us, you don't need to come to work. Essentially.
They laid you off, basically.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So they needed to sort out closing down the service and everything. At the same time, they say, well, you don't need to come to work, but train yourself. So they gave us time to train ourselves to be able to bounce back, if you like. So what I did was very simple. I was in the middle of this project, of this refurb. I was coming here at night or evenings after work and so on. I went full time.
Wow, okay, it gives you more time.
I went full steam and helped the guys here, and I've been very involved to help speed up things, because now the time was ticking for me.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so I had this severance and all that, but at the same time the pressure to deliver the project. I was under pressure every day almost, and if you have a family, you'll realize that actually, they count on you to do well and everything. So for me, it was a commitment to deliver on the project and on the vision.
Yeah.
Though the vision was, getting this on a market on those platforms. And there was days I was feeling low, feeling down, but I blocked everything. I was totally focused on delivering the project, no matter what. The project had to be delivered. If I had to borrow money, if I had to stop eating, the project needed to be delivered. That was my goal, and that's it. When Alan was saying, we need this, that's going to cost us another £1,000,
Yeah.
I wasn't like feeling, if you like, deflated or all that. I said, how can I make it? How can I go to that B&Q, get that delivered the next day or the next hour? That was my mindset.
Wow.
End of. I needed to deliver the project. I needed to finish the job. And you would have your partner saying, why are you doing this, this and that? And I was saying, I need to finish the job.
Yeah. I love that.
That's it. That's what drove me the whole time. And today I feel like, yes, this is the mentality you need to have in this game. And also watching your videos, I was like, when I was feeling deflated, watch your video. I watch your video. And when I see your smile and your energy, it would get me back up. And I told you, I was sending you messages. I said, I'm so grateful that you taught me things and all.
Yeah, I think you've done really well, to be honest. I think you've done amazing. Not even really well. You've done amazing. So how, not working for someone, deciding in your own time how you spend your time? For right now, we sat here, you're not thinking about going back to work. How does that shape you as a human being? Well,
it's something I've been asking for. So I don't know how to explain that, but sometimes, I started to look into meditation and the mornings, appreciation and things. And I've been asking, let's say, to the universe, to God, whoever you believe in. And I've been asking for this to happen. I've been asking to wake up in the morning and decide. And one of your mentees I met in Edinburgh, I said to them, now I can wake up in the morning and decide what I'm gonna do this day.
Wow.
Or the night before, I can decide what I'm gonna use my time on. And I think that's priceless. That's the most amazing feeling you could ever have.
I love that, man.
Honestly.
I love that. There's no better feeling than that. So now, obviously, this is not your only property. So I know you've got few more properties as well. You have this place. Yeah. You have what are the other places? Because I don't want to get this wrong.
Yes. So right after 6 years ago, when I started looking into properties, I went into those places where you have meetups and you meet people. And I partnered with someone who was also investing. And but I didn't came empty-handed back then.
Of course, yes.
So, and I always learned, well, if you have a good deal, money will come. So I tested that concept. And back then, I always remember it was a building of 10 flats, 10 one-bedroom flats, all tenanted by DSS, you know, council tenants, if you like. But it didn't scare me because money was flowing. It was already cash flowing. It wasn't in the best looking shape, but I went for it. I got all the details, did all my homework, came with the pack, and met that guy, and we said to each other, let's make it happen. That's what really got me started, and we didn't buy the 10, we bought 3 flats.
Beautiful.
We negotiated down, back then it was what, 27K a flat.
Wow.
One flat. Today they doubled in value.
Less than 6 years.
Yes, because COVID hit in the middle, right?
know, yeah.
Things started to short up. So we bought those 3 flats, we sold one, that funded the purchase of another property, and that was, if you like, a corner block, and there was 2 flats above, but on the paper they were offices, and below it was a takeaway, but in derelict state. Wow. If I show you the building, it was the eyesore of the town, that on the main street. And it was a pre-auction. We bought it on pre-auction because my business partner he knew the people, and we managed to snap it at a price that defies, gravity, I would say. But no, it was an excellent buy, but it needed a lot of work.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of work, but we managed, to get the money together, fund the place, and in the middle of it, we onboarded an investor.
Okay. Good.
Someone in the community as well, in the Pakistani community, and he wanted to get started in property involved. So we sold him like a share of the block.
Clever, huh? I love that.
We gave him 1/3 of it, and that cash injection helped us to do finish the refurb.
Wow.
So we did it in stages.
Of course.
And then started tenanting the place. That started cash flowing. And because my business partner as well, it's key to work with someone who's done it, who's been in there. Because commercial property, I would have said, no, I'm not touching that. I don't know how it works, no idea. But because of him, that forced me to learn on the job. And to be creative, because we had a place that was left empty for 15 years before we bought it.
Wow.
And after that we thought, well, we do a quick refurb and we put a tenant in. It was in a prominent place. We thought, it's gonna rent. No, we've been sitting on that for 2 years. So there is not always excellent, amazing stories immediately. No, for 2 years we were bleeding money, right? And we realized, actually I realized, because we had also an investor on board on that, and that investor started to ask questions. Okay, what are you doing? Why is it so slow? What's happening? And because the pressure started to mount, and now I had the time, remember? From August to now, I had the time. So I went there, 2-hour drive, I went there almost every month to go and check things, stay a bit longer. And I decided to be creative, because I learned about service accommodation. I said, why don't I turn this place into a service accommodation, but for shops? So people who are doing e-commerce, who are crafting things here and there, they can rent the place for the day, for the hour, and see what happens. But my end game was a long-term tenant. That's what I wanted. I wanted to bring people, see the place, experience the place.
See how demanding, how good that
exactly.
place is.
And that paid off.
Wow.
Because after 6 months, someone came forward and said, I want to rent your place long term.
Look at that.
And we signed a 10-year lease on that shop that was left
10
empty.
years?
10-year lease.
Wow. From not having a tenant to renting it in 10 years for 10 years.
10-year lease.
So that's crazy.
And he just signed. We gave him a 3 months rent-free to support them, because I think when you get into commercial, that's what I learned as well. It's people are scared. They're all doing a 9 to 5. They all have the same dreams. Get financially free, get their own things going. And the kind of people that were renting the shop were women at home.
Yeah.
You know, one of them was baking little cookies.
Mhm.
She was doing excellent.
Mhm.
When she was opening on a Saturday, the queue was outside,
Mhm.
and we couldn't believe it.
Wow.
It was amazing, and
Wow.
that gave her the confidence. She wanted to go forward, but got scared last minute. And I said, "Look, I will support you. I will help you. We'll do rent free, whatever. And if after 3 months it doesn't work, you give us the key.
Yeah.
You know, just pay the electric, and we take the key back." But she was too scared to do it.
Mhm.
But then somebody else came
Mhm.
and said, "Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it." Last week we had another email saying, I want to take it because I just moved to this place, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Sorry, we just rented the place." Imagine, for 2 years, nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
everybody wants it.
But-
So with that property you've bought, then the one that you said you got the investor in, could you take us back? How much did you buy that property?
the one in with the
Yeah, with the two
above,
flats, yeah.
aye. So that one, it was pre-auction. It was a price, I'm not even sure anybody will believe me, but it was less than 50K.
Wow. Less than 50K. You've done obviously you had a massive investment there.
Yeah.
So once you've done all the work, how much was that property? How much did that property come back at?
So we got the valuation. I mean, we got all the estimation and everything, and today 170K
Wow.
is what the property with the 2 flats above and the takeaway shop can go for. Of course, we're open to negotiation if anybody is.
Wow,
is open.
170K.
Yeah.
Basically, if you remortgage that property, you literally pull all your money out.
Yes.
pull
Now
all the money
you there are caveats, you know, because not all lenders will take flats or
Above,
mortgage
yeah.
above takeaway and all that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's you have to see what's your end game.
Yeah, but there are lenders there that would help you with that anyways, because now some properties would have shops over it.
Yeah.
And there are lenders, obviously, yes, there are some of them that are restricted, but if it's valued at 170K, there are lenders out there that will lend it, and I really hope you remortgage that, pull all your investment out so you can go again.
Yeah.
So by the look of it, then you've got a mixture of portfolio.
Yes.
You do residential as well as commercial.
Yes.
So which one do you like the most?
You know
and
what? You know what? I love the commercial.
Why?
That was just. I think it's a well-kept secret because we see all over the country commercial properties being left empty. Nobody's interested in touching them. But on the other side, you have a market of people who want to use them on a temporary basis. So this is the gap I saw in the market. And once you give them the confidence, they'll take it long term. The old model, because I don't have a commercial background, I never rented or being involved in that. So I came with another set of lens, the residential, and the service accommodation, and I applied that to the commercial.
Which is working really
And
well.
that was wicked because nobody I don't know is doing
No,
that.
it's rare. It's very
Right.
rare. So it's good you've done that. So I think implementing that would really help, especially when it comes to these towns and cities, where people just want something for a day or a couple of days. You charge them for they do what they're doing, and then the next one comes. So
Yeah.
I think it's a very good strategy to have and carry on doing it. So now, just a bit of an advice here.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in property investment and they don't know what to do and they're worried that they're gonna get scammed, or the trainers out there are not the right people? They don't really know what to do, especially people from our ethnic minority, like West Africa, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Senegal, to name but few.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for those people that are looking to start their investment journey?
Yeah, the advice for me is now in hindsight is to be close to someone who's done it. It's not that I'm trying to sell your mentorship and everything, but I think the key for me, it's when I met my business partner who was in the game for 20 years. He knew people, he had contacts, he knew what to look for. So it's like he was holding my hand, kind of. So that was important. And the education. Yes, I knew what he was talking about. I was like not asking question every 5 seconds. So that the training plus being close to someone who's been in the game gave me the confidence to go for it, to really
Fantastic. So
do the job.
So good, I like that. So for the people then that maybe have heard about my program and they're thinking maybe it's not the right, they're not gonna get that one-to-one or what these other people are promising. Could you tell them a bit of background about what you think about our programs that we offer?
Yeah, for me the program is the level of details that you give, because ultimately what's gonna make you stand out and not trip over things, it's when you choose your property. Because you're on your own when you choose. You're the one actually pulling the trigger, ultimately. Yeah. So when you know what to look for, how to look for property, what to say to people, especially when you do rent to rent, because you gave me a script that was excellent, and even we did impersonation and role play. You were calling me every week. Okay, I'm your landlord. What is it? And that pushed me to come out of my comfort zone. I guess if I didn't have that, I'll still be contemplating rent to rent. I wouldn't have picked up my phone and called all these guys. So I had my story ready, I had the confidence, and then I was able to check up with you and say, okay, they said that, we said this. So yeah, that was key, definitely. Fantastic. That was absolutely key.
Thank you. Looking forward now, you're doing your property stuff. You're moving maybe temporarily, permanently to another country to help lots of people. Yeah. And you've got your portfolio here now doing really, really well. What are your plans in the next five years?
5 years is really to help out again, my fellow cousins or fellow African, and really try to show them it's actually possible. When you have the right education, the right mentorship, people who can push you to go, and instead of waiting for handouts, then I think that's what we need back home, and that's what I want to focus on giving back. Wow. Because the education is everything. There's no two ways about it today.
Fantastic.
That's what I want to give them back.
Wow. As I said, if there's anything I could help, let me know. Look, you've been amazing, and I know it took me long to come to Scotland.
I know, but I'm
so
We've been grateful.
Going back and forth about it. But thank you so much for making me getting to know another part of the UK, especially this side of the UK and Scotland.
You're welcome, and it's a sunny day.
And it's a sunny day, it's not raining, so I am delighted. I've been able to impact you positively, and I'm delighted to working with you. And you've never take any advice personal as well. You got that energy, you got that motivation, and then I know you're gonna do well in properties. Not just in properties, you're gonna do well helping the people that you're going to help, because you've learned from mentorship. You learn from different individuals. So I think you've got that diverse experience that people will really cherish back home. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
As I said, I'm here. If you need anything, you're only a phone call away.
Okay.
But thanks very much for having me in Scotland.
Thank you so much, Rahim. Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
That was good.